Hey guys, it's me. It's Queen Osset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Remember to pass it on to somebody else who might like it too. And leave us a positive comment in the comment section. And don't forget to stick around because right next to me, I have two positive comments from previous videos. So stick around because I'm going to read these at the end, and one of them might be one of your comments. Now, I want to talk to you guys about something that I don't hear a lot of people talking about. It comes up, but not like this. I got an email from someone and he said to me, Queen, why is it that humans always need someone to hate? Why do we have so many groups of people that hate people they don't even know? You got you got all kinds of groups. You have, groups that hate people because of their race, groups that hate people because of their class, groups that hate people because they're not in their sexuality, they're straight, or they're homosexual, or you have homosexual men that hate women. You have all kinds. You have women who've been hurt by men and they hate men. You have all kinds of groups of people, and most of the time groups that haven't even done anything to you. Like maybe one or two of them did, maybe five or six of them did, but most of these groups have millions of people. So like a fraction of a percentage might have hurt you or harmed you or been mean to you or rude to you, and then you hate the whole group. I see this all of the time, especially in astrology. I know people who an Aquarius has been mean to them or an Aquarius has ghosted them and they hate all Aquarius. I know groups that, like the other day, I had posted something and it said every astrological group has good people. And somebody said, no, they don't. Scorpios and Cancers aren't good people. None of them are good people. And I'm like, so you know all Scorpios and all Cancers. Now, mind you, I've had some run-ins with some Scorpios and I've had some run-ins with some Cancers. But not any group would I ever say the whole group is awful. Now, 20 years ago, I might have said that, but maturity has taught me that every single group that I've ever disliked had some good people in it. I've had some run-ins with some Capricorns. Y'all know about that. But two of my favorite people in the world are Capricorn. My grandmother and my uncle. So you can't hate whole groups of people. So the person was asking me why. Why does this happen? History shows us this all the way back to the times of hunters and gatherers. It's always been this us against them mentality. And this person was asking me, what is this for? First of all, I think in modern times, I think it's instinct. Because think about it. If you really think about history, think about the beginning of time, the beginning that we know anyway. The beginning of fossil records show us that Neanderthals and Homo sapiens sapiens, and maybe some other groups, depending upon who you ask, were on the planet at the same time. That means you had several different groups of species of human or almost human or already human. You had several different groups competing for the same resources, the same water, the same animals, the same herbs, whatever they were gathering. Because back then they weren't doing, from what I remember from reading, they weren't doing as much farming per se. So you were like chasing the herds. You were, killing deer, killing buffalo, depending upon what animals were in your neighborhood or in your continent or whatever. That's what you pretty much were eating. You were using the same water sources to clean yourself and to use for your home and everything else. So if you got a group of Neanderthals and a group of Homo sapiens sapiens, and then there's evidence that the groups would sometimes fight each other, kidnap each other's women and things like that. So these groups were competing with each other. And I feel like, I can't prove it, but I feel like it goes all the way back to that mentality. I feel like since the beginning of time, we've been competing with the other, the exotic other, and half of the time the other is a lot like us. I remember one study of this that really tripped me out. One year I was teaching at this school. It was a big school. It had like 2,000 high school students. I think one of the first schools I ever worked at. And I was there at the end of the year, and then the next year I was going to a new school. But when I was there at the end of the year, the school decided that they were going to split the school in half. They were going to put a partition straight down the middle, and they were going to have 1,000 students on one side and 1,000 students on the other side. They thought that this would help them to better control the student population, because there had been a lot of fights, a lot of violence, somebody even got shot while I was there. I'm not even going to say somebody's got shot while I was there. And I remember one day, the vice principal got hit in the head with a metal trash can that one of the students threw at another student, and it bust him right in his head. So a lot of like violent kind of stuff was happening. So they decided to split the school up, and maybe it could make it more manageable. But it was weird because the same kids who were fighting each other that year couldn't stand each other that year. When the school got split, they split into new hate groups. So the person you hated last year is now on your side. They split the school in East and West. So now the people that you was fighting before, it was all just intermingled. Now they've separated them. So a dude that you punched in his face last semester is now on the east side with you. Dude that was your friend at lunch last semester is now on the west side, and now he becomes the enemy. So it's still this us versus them thing, and I really think it goes back to the days of hunters and gatherers. And I also think that we're at this point in our evolution where I think that we can really do better than that. I think that what we need to do is look at this, because what it's doing to us is keeping us stuck in this us versus them mentality, which leads to wars, violence, and more competition. And remember, I said that back then we had limited resources. I mean, there was plenty of water. There was probably even more animals back then, but you had 20 or so in one group and 20 or so in another group and 2 or 3 hiding off in the hills, all competing for the same resources and the same things. So because of that, it made it a lot more difficult. But at this rate, we have enough that we don't have to compete. We have enough food, we have enough water, we have enough resources that technically nobody has to be hungry. Nobody has to be impoverished. Nobody has to be homeless. It's just that we don't use our resources in that way. And I feel like maybe 2020 is a changing point for us. I see a lot of things changing right now. So maybe if we're blessed, one of the things that we'll look at seriously is changing how we have that us against them dynamic going on, and start to be more cooperative with each other and start to share more. Now that could just be my idealistic Aquarius thinking, but that would be really nice, because I think that if that happened, then we would stop seeing this us versus them, I hate you mentality. There was a time period when I did not like men. I did not like them at all. And not so much of a romantic kind of way, but didn't like them, period. If they started to talk, I would ignore them. If they started talking to me, I'd walk away. I had a lot of animosity towards them because I had some experience with men that weren't very pleasant. And one day I said to myself, as I was learning more spirituality and forgiveness and things like that, I said to myself, you know what? That's not fair. It's not fair of you to hate millions of people or not discriminate against millions of people because you dated 1 or 2 yahoos, or you had a couple different experiences. Even if it was 10 or 15, that's still a minuscule amount of the masculine population. And you have to look at that. And I told myself, like, you're not being fair. And I think that's what we all need to do. We need to look at our biases, look at who you hate, and think of ways not to be in that energy anymore. Because that's what I did. I thought about it and I was like, you know what? This really isn't fair and I can do better. So I did. So I think that's why we constantly need someone to hate. And I think that we can change it. All right, guys. Now I'm going to read you 2 comments from previous videos. This one came from Miko Mai. And she said, we can't do it. Once we know you don't like us or vice versa, we're not coming anywhere near you. We hear slick talk, and although we have restraint, it won't be nice if we respond, and we will if they push. She's an Aquarius, and she's talking about how hard it is for an Aquarius to be around people that we don't like. And like she said, most of us just won't do it. It's just like we're not even gonna put ourselves in this situation. So Miko, thank you so much for your comment. You're 100% correct. And my last one is from Andrea Boyd. Andrea said, very true. It's a grieving process. Takes so long. It's like you have to kill yourself inside before you can recover. Mixture of deep pain and depression. It's a fight against your own disbelief too that this can happen. And she's talking about how deeply Aquarius hurt. As I was talking about this the other day, and I had posted something, and I was talking about how long it takes an Aquarius to grieve and get through something, and she was responding to that and agreeing that yeah, it's a battle, you know. So most Aquarius I know, we try to stay away from falling into situations that are going to push us into these depressions and these deep pains. So that's what Andrea is talking about. And Andrea, thank you so much for your comment. All right, guys, it's time for me to get going. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to have a reading done, please email me and I will give you an appointment. All of my information is underneath this video. Please come back soon because I have a lot more to say. See you later.